John. Okay. Okay, let's see. John, are we good to go? Okay, so we're going to presume that we're good to go, and let's go ahead and
He may
get
be
our
muted.
What's that?
John may be muted. I muted him before.
Oh, did you? Okay, okay. I was looking. So let's go ahead and get started. So good evening, everyone. Good evening, community. Good evening, board members, and good evening to all interested parties. My name is Dr. Michael Burke, and I'm chairman of Community Board 12, and I would like to welcome you to our March meeting of Community Board 12. So before we begin, I would, like to ask a favor. I would like to ask our Mr. Ted James to unmute himself. I just sent him a note, and if he could lead us in a word of prayer before we begin the meeting. So if all of you would join Mr. James as he leads us in prayer. So Ted, if you could unmute yourself, please, sir, and lead us in a word of prayer. Okay. Ted, if you could unmute yourself, sir. You can't? All right. So I'm actually going to ask, so John, I'm going to ask you to do it. So John, if you could unmute yourself and lead us in a word of prayer, please, sir. Okay.
I'm on mute, Dr. Burke.
There you go. You're good now.
Dear Heavenly Father, as we come together this evening, I humbly ask that you receive us and that we show each other love and we come to do the work of the government that we're here to do today. I would like to pray for all the families that are in the Woodlawn, Baychester, Wakefield area or the Community Board 12 area that are suffering. I would like to pray for all the people that are suffering from this pandemic. And I would like to say this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. So thank you so much to Mr. John Isaac, who is our second vice chair and also chair of our Transportation and Capital Projects Committee. So before we begin, I need to actually make an announcement because I actually forgot to say congratulations and happy birthday to our February birthdays, because quite frankly, there was so much going on last month that I forgot. So I want to take this time to acknowledge all of our February birthdays, Tolene, Anthony Reed, and I know I'm missing a member or two, but nonetheless, thank you. I mean, happy birthday to all the February birthdays, and we will acknowledge the March birthdays at the end of the meeting. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first part of our meeting is always our public gallery session. And so that is where we, the community, get to hear from you. We, the community board, get to hear from you, the community, as far as whatever issues that concern you, whatever announcements that you want to make to us. This is our time to hear you. So what I'm going to ask you to do is the following. So if you go to the participants section, so if you go and click on participants, and what you'll notice is that if you somewhat scroll your mouse over to the right hand side of the screen, you'll see where your hand can be raised. So again, if you are on your computer, if you take your mouse and you highlight your name and you scroll over to near the right side of the screen, you can see your hand being raised right before the mic and right before the camera. So if you would do that, and that way I could acknowledge your hand, and of course, then I could recognize you. So if you were in the community, not board members, but if you were in the community and you do that, then I will recognize you in Community Speaks. Once you raise your hand and once you are recognized, then of course you will have 3 minutes to address the board with any concern that you may have, any announcement that you may have, or anything that you would like to tell us or would like to tell the community at large. So again, You have 3 minutes total. And again, this is any topic that you would like to speak to us about. Now, one thing that I would also like to say is that additionally, this is not for elected officials because obviously there is a section for elected officials as well. So when you come on elected, there is a section for you as well. So what I'm going to do is I am going to mute everyone because again, some people are still getting through. Now, if you're on the phone and you would like to raise your hand, then you click *9. Okay. If you're on the phone and you would like to raise your hand to be recognized, you click *9 if you're on the phone. Okay. If you would like to speak, once of course you are unmuted, then that is *6 if you're on the phone. Okay, so if you're on the phone and once you're unmuted, then of course you hit *6. So for those individuals, and I see right now, I see 4 individuals that are on the phone. If you are a community member and you would like to speak in Community Speaks, just hit *9 so that you can be recognized, okay? So with that being said, without further ado, I also need to let everybody know that if you are on, I'm looking to see if we're on channel 67. So I do not know whether we're on channel 67 or 69 just yet. I think our district manager says that we're on channel 69, but if not, you could always scroll back to channel 67, okay? And if we're on Fios, again, I do not remember the channels that were announced, but again, I'm sure that if you know, please, put it in the chat and we can move forward, okay? So first up, I see Mary O'Shaughnessy. So Miss O'Shaughnessy, I'm hopeful I'm not butchering your name. If I am, please forgive me. Please unmute yourself and you can begin Community Speaks. And good evening to you.
Good evening. Thank you for calling on me. My name is Mary O'Shaughnessy, and I am a homeowner of a 2019 vintage on Bruner Avenue between Barnes and New Reed. I noticed a couple of weeks ago that DOT was doing survey work to put curb cuts into the corner of Barnes and Bruner, which is lovely. I was wondering if you had any information on a time frame for that, because people do park and I have neighbors that might like to know when they may need to move their cars. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Shaughnessy. So to answer your question, I do not know. I do know that the Department of Transportation does put out a list of projects that they have going on in the Bronx. I do not have that information in front of me. What I can ask you to do is I can ask you to contact our office and either contact our district manager, Mr. George Torres, or our community associate, Ms. Ursula Green, and they can get you that list of all the projects that are ongoing in the Bronx. And your area may or may not be covered, but I right now I cannot sit here and tell you that I know specifically what's going on with that project because I don't. Okay, so thank you so much. Next, I see Ms. Cheryl. If I'm not saying that, it's oh, and I do not want to say your name incorrectly. I want to say it's Cruikshank. And again, please forgive me if I butchered your name. And again, please, as I said, please forgive me. So I think that I am requesting that you unmute yourself. There you go. So now I can hear you. So welcome, and please forgive me for your name, but again, I'm only human. So welcome.
It's okay. Thank you. My name is Sherelle Cruikshank, and I am the CEO at Human First, and we are a nonprofit organization that provides supports and services for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And our organization has submitted notification to the community board in regards to a possible apartment that we are focused on renting at this point. It's located at 814 Chestnut Street, apartment 2. And there will be 4 individuals that will be living in that apartment, and there will be 24-hour staffing. So there'll be a staff as long as they are in the house. There will be a staff with them and to help them and support them through whatever they may need as they live together in that apartment. The organization is under the auspice of OPWDD, the Office for People with Developmental Disabilities. That's our funder. We provide them, the individuals, with support so that they can live as independently as possible. And we had the privilege of meeting with the Health Committee in February and presented this information at that time and met with them. And in speaking with Carl today, he afforded the opportunity for us to come and say a few words to the community board and answer possibly any questions that you may have.
Okay, so can you please say your last name again? Krushank. Okay, so Ms. Krushank, so I spoke with the chair of the Health and Human Services Committee, Mr. Lanzano, and so what we want to do is because we need to take a vote on your proposal tonight, and so what I actually want to do is open it up to questions at that time. So and he's going to give his recommendation to the board, and then I think that's when we'll open it up for questions and answers. Okay.
So do you need me to stay on to be able to answer questions
Yes.
at that time?
Yes, I would need you to stay on. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. All right. So thank you very, very much. And I guess if you can mute yourself until then, as I said, we will we will definitely take this up. Okay. So thank you. So next up in Community Speaks is I've just sent a request to our own president of the 47th Precinct Community Council, Mrs. Pamela Hamilton Johnson. So hopefully, Pam, let me know if you got the link. Yep, you did. Okay, to unmute yourself, and welcome as always to your community board, to Community Board 12.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Pamela Hamilton Johnson. I'm the president of the 47th Precinct. And I just wanted to announce that they are opening up the elections for the executive board. We already did our meeting in the month of March, so we have to have an expedited meeting to get the nomination committee. And the nomination committee, ability to the past meetings to see who had attended 4 meetings. So they are using our virtual attendance, and they are going back to the book. So it was 2020 and 2019. You just have to have 4 attendances at any of the meetings between that time. You would be eligible to be on the nominating committee. We sent out, we're sending out flyers, so we just got the information. The flyers should be out soon. If you are linked to us via your email, you'll get it sooner than that. So this is not the election just yet. This is for the nominating committee. We're looking for 3 people to be on the nominating committee. If you will come to the meeting on March 31st, I will put the information in the chat. And if you're interested in being on, now remember, if you're on the nominating committee, you cannot run for an office. So let me just state that clearly. But if you are interested in running for the board, you can. Every year, all the seats are open, and anyone can run, and you can even nominate yourself from the floor. So I just wanted to let everyone know they were going to actually extend it a whole year. They are not, and we are going to have elections this year. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Mrs. Johnson. So if anyone here wants to run for the executive board of the precinct council here, the 47th Precinct Council, obviously, see Mrs. Johnson, and, she will help you do that. So again, thank you for the work that, you do, Mrs. Johnson, and on behalf of us. And like I said, and again, we look forward to supporting whether it be you or anybody else running for the executive board. Okay, so thank you. So next we have Miss Winnie, I think that's Fair, as F-A-R, Winnie Farr. So Ms. Farr, you please unmute yourself and welcome to Committee Board 12.
Good evening. My name is
Good
Winifred
evening.
Parkinson. Yes. And we live at 1267 East 222nd Street. We have a big problem. There is a house behind us that have a lot of bushes. So now what we are having are rats coming from over the property next behind us. We have reported it to 311. Nothing happened. This has been going on for a year. Not only that, we have some, I don't know if they are hedgehogs or some huge monsters. I don't know what they are. They burrows into the ground. And we plant flowers and vegetables behind there, and they just burrow and eat out all the crop. So I'm not sure who to report this. I've been trying to call 311, but haven't been getting through. So I said, let me bring it up this evening regarding those rodents. They're really huge.
Okay, so thank you for bringing that to our attention. I'm going to ask our district manager to chime in on that because it sounds like that's a Department of Health issue. Can you tell me whether or not the property is abandoned or not? And you muted yourself again, Ms. Farr. So please, I just sent a note for you to unmute yourself. So you muted
Okay.
yourself. So can you tell me whether or not the property is abandoned?
No, there are people living in the house behind us, but they don't cut the bushes. And this is going on for almost a year. I reported it. It looks like a forest behind us. And we've been complaining and nothing has
If you
happened.
want to watch TV, if you want to watch it.
Okay. George, if you would tackle that, because I think what I'm based on my knowledge, here's what I can probably tell you. The Department of Health may very well say, well, it's a private matter. There's nothing that we can do. I mean, because I had that, with one of my neighbors, which in fact, there was the entire Sherwood Forest was growing back there. And quite frankly, what wound up happening was we had to wind up forcing the neighbor to clean up back there because, of course, the city would say that there was nothing that they could do. So that's from my personal experience, but I'm going to have our district manager chime in because he may know something that I don't, and we can go from there. So George, if you would address this constituent of ours and make certain that I'm giving her the proper information.
No, I think it's it's right on. The only thing that I would say is you mentioned that there were rats.
Yes.
If there are rats, you can make a rat sighting complaint. DOH will go out. If they can verify that there have been rat sightings, they will issue a summons to the homes. Now, that may very well be your home as well. So you have to be very careful because they'll do an inspection, and you said, for example, if I heard you properly, you have a garden, so that may be attracting the rodents.
No, what is now winter, and there's nothing behind there. I don't have a garden.
Understood.
I have a flower garden.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay.
But there's nothing behind there now because remember it's winter time and the flowers they are now dead. They just start to come up. It's springtime. I don't have a garden. My next door neighbor has the garden that plants his vegetables, and they can come anytime, and you can see where they're borrowing and the rats they're coming from behind there.
Do you live in a semi-attached, or are those row houses are all attached?
The row houses, they are attached.
All right, so it's
1, 2, 3, 6 of us, a row of houses.
So
but the house behind us, is a single house by itself.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, if you want, I'd be more than happy to make the complaint to the Department of Health. I can send an email to them. It's 1267 East 222nd Street.
Correct.
That's the house that has the problem, or is that you don't have to give me your address. I can give you my phone number. We can speak offline.
No, that's not the house. The house is behind us at 12, that would 12, 1260 East to 23rd Street.
Okay. 223. All right. So
Right.
I will make a complaint. And like I said, we can follow up. I will put my email and phone number in the chat, and then you just write it down. You can call me tomorrow. But I'll make the complaint right after. I'll probably make the complaint while while you guys are all talking.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Okay. Thank you, George, and thank you, Ms. Fall. We really appreciate you bringing that to our attention. So before I close Community Speaks, I'm looking and I don't see anyone else's hand raised. So again, if you're on the phone, it's *9 if you want to raise your hand. If you're on a computer, as I stated before, you highlight your name in the participant section and you go over to where your hand is shaded. So before we close out Community Speaks, is there anybody else that needs to speak from the public? Going once. Is there anybody else that needs to speak from the public? Going twice? Okay, with that, Community Speaks is now closed. So again, thank you very much, community, for bringing your issues and your concerns to us. We really and truly appreciate it. I forgot to mention that if you also are having any issues and you did not come in and speak to us on Community Speaks, we do have a Facebook page, and so that is CB12 the Bronx. So if you go to CB12 the Bronx, and of course, if you, in fact, we're Facebooking, Facebooking, that's incorrect. We're on Facebook Live right now. So if you go there, in fact, you can actually put in some of your questions and concerns in there as well, and we will answer you in real time. So again, thank you, community, for bringing this to our attention. And so now we're at the point in the agenda, which of course, and I forgot to share the agenda. It seems like I forget to do something every single meeting, but that is okay because I'm human. And so we make mistakes. So here is the agenda for the meeting. And so we've just finished the public gallery session. And so next we're going to go into the elected, we're going to hear from our elected officials. And of course, then hopefully Ms. Ruiz is here, Ms. Alexa Ruiz is here. And then she will give a report from the Borough President's office. Then of course, I will give my report. And then of course, the district manager will give his report. And we will go on to minutes of the board as well as the financial report. We will circle back to the committee recommendations, which of course there is one that is pressing that needs to be voted on that is not written down here. Then of course we will hopefully get through the old business relatively quickly. I have some notes here as well as the new business. And of course we will end with good and welfare. Okay, so hopefully we will be done. Is my goal to be done by 9 o'clock this evening. So that is the goal. So let's try and make sure we get that done if we can. So my question is there anyone here from Councilman Riley's office? If there's anyone here from Councilman Riley's office, then if you could let me know. And because I do not see anybody here. Oh, I can't say there's no one here, but I don't recognize any names. Okay, I see it. So Jermaine, okay, I see it. So Mr. Anthony, how are you doing? So I'm getting ready to unmute you. So welcome to Community Board 12. Let's see, yes. So did I say Antonetti, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. So welcome.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I came on a couple of weeks ago. I switched on and off with the Deputy Chief of Staff. I did put my information in a little bit earlier. I grew up, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up in the Co-op City community. The board that you guys have on here has literally raised me since I was Gloria Wise, and she grew me up at Mind Building. Miss Goff, I've worked very closely with Miss Goff a couple of times and things like that. So I'm very active in the community. Tomorrow we have a giveaway. Give me one second. On the corner of Hammersley Avenue and Gunther Avenue. Sorry, Hammersley and Gunther Avenue from 2 to 4. I'm going to share that in the chat box. But that's the upcoming events that we have so far. And we have a ranked choice voting event that will be sent to your email so that you guys can email blast it. We'll send an email blast out soon this week for a ranked choice voting email. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So please give the councilman our best. And as I said, I know I owe him a phone call. And so, please tell him that, he and I will be in touch probably sometime early next week. If you could relay that message to him, okay? Okay, I would appreciate it. So I know District 11, the nice thing about District 11, of course, is that there was a ranked choice voting that took place this past Tuesday. And so right now we're still waiting on the winner of that election for those of us that live in the Wakefield and the Woodlawn sections of Community Board 12. Now, I was looking for Miss Julia Danielowski because she was still coming in doing constituent services work, but I do not see her here this evening. And so if someone is here doing that, that's great. Please just put it in the chat so I will know. But if not, I'm going to move on to Mr. Went, who of course is here representing the speaker. So Mr. Went, welcome. Please unmute yourself and bring us greetings from Speaker Hasey's office.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I hope that you can hear me okay. I'm Alex Wentz. I'm the director for Carl Hasty. Just to update everyone, I'm sure you've all heard by now that 2 days ago he was diagnosed with COVID. So he'll be a little indisposed for the time being.
Carl Hasty, he's the Speaker of the House and the Senate.
This month has been.
Okay, excuse me. Okay.
We've had events, including a partnership with the Red Cross online, as well as a informational session with SUNY EOC to go over different educational opportunities that were available to members of the Bronx. In addition to that, our clothing drive, which we are working with the Salvation Army, we're still collecting new and lightly used items, and that's to fund different programs with the Salvation Army. But overall, I would say that this past month has been pretty busy and pretty productive. Next month, we're looking to do a little bit more events in the actual community. We'll be at various different sites. But again, we all have to wait and see what happens, especially being that we're still in this pandemic. I want to thank you all for your support over the last few weeks, as well as working with me as the new community relations director. It's been challenging but rewarding. So thank you all very much for your support.
Well, Mr. Wynn, again, thank you for the work that you do on behalf of the speaker as well as for the community. I think that our goals are aligned, and we look forward to doing anything that we can to assist you in making your transition into your role easier. So again, thank you, and I see you putting your information in the chat. So as I said, anything that we can do, just please let us know. So next, I see Assemblyman Dinowitz is on. I just saw him click on. So Assemblyman Dinowitz, please unmute yourself. You have the floor. If you can get on, Mr. Assemblyman. So let me know. Seems like I'm having difficulty right now unmuting you. So I know Mr. Ivan Neds is here as well. So let me try working with Mr. Nez. Even though I know you're here, Assemblyman Dinowitz, and I did not know what's happening. So, Mr. Nez, if you could speak on behalf of the Assemblyman, because as I said, I don't know what's going on with his internet right now.
Hi, yes, I'm actually on the phone with him now trying to figure out what's going on with his connection. For whatever reason, every time we do WebEx, there are issues with his computer. But if you can give me 1 second, I think we can figure this out.
Okay. Well, do you want me to, because there are other electeds here, so I can go to them and come back. Is that okay? Okay. So I think we will do that. So I do see where Nancy Garay is here from Senator Bailey's office. So Ms. Garay, please unmute yourself and welcome to Community Board 12. Ms. Garay? Okay, Ms. Garay, you are unmuted, so we can't hear you. Ms. Garay? Okay, well, as I said, Ms. Garay, you are unmuted, but right now we can't hear you, so we'll try to come back to you, and we will see if we can see. Is there anybody here from Senator Biaggi's office? I thought I saw Andy Lobb here from Senator Biaggi's office. Is there anyone here from Senator Biaggi's office? Okay. Oh, I see it. Okay, Angela Conley. Okay, so Ms. Conley, welcome to Community Board 12.
Hi there.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good. How are you, Dr. Burke? Good to
We
see
are
you all.
fantastic.
Just a few quick announcements. I hope everyone is well. I hope everyone is continuing to stay safe and healthy. A few announcements on the legislative front. Yesterday, Senator Biaggi and the Senate passed her bill to fully repeal the blanket immunity that the state granted to healthcare facilities and nursing homes a year ago, which prevented thousands of families who lost loved ones due to COVID from seeking legal recourse. As a result of those deaths. So the senator introduced that bill because she believes it's the duty of the government to protect the most vulnerable among us and not to protect corporate shareholders. So yesterday was a really big day and a big step for those who unfortunately lost loved ones over the last year who were in nursing homes and healthcare facilities. And Senator Biaggi wanted me to mention that she introduced the bill and voted to fully repeal those immunities to honor the thousands of New Yorkers who we lost in nursing homes and to honor their grieving families who are looking for justice. So that was a big news yesterday that we were very happy about. And Senator Biaggi also recently introduced a Senate bill which establishes the Marshall Plan for Moms Task Force, which examines issues related to the COVID pandemic and addresses the disproportionate burden that mothers have faced from the economic fallout due to COVID-19 and the pandemic. So there's lots happening in Albany on those two fronts with those two bills, and all things considered, the hope is that I know there's a lot going on, but the hope is that budget talks will continue and will hopefully be done on time. There's a March 31st deadline, but the senator is working hard to make sure you're all represented in Albany. In terms of constituent services, I'm actually a member of Senator Biaggi's constituent services team, so just wanted to let everyone know that we're sort of doing a hybrid work schedule in terms of working remotely and working in the office a few days a week, just to keep everyone safe, because COVID is still a problem and not everyone is yet vaccinated, but we are taking constituent calls, cases. If anyone is in need of any help, please feel free to reach out. You can call us at 718-822-2049 or constituentservices@senatorbiaggi.com. And we've been putting a lot of emphasis on helping people sign up to get vaccinated. And we created a vaccine appointment request form, which people can fill out and submit to our office. And then we will help them secure those appointments for the vaccines. So I will leave my email, my contact information, and that link to that form in the chat. So if anyone is interested in filling that out, please do. And again, if there are any other issues that arise that anyone has, please feel free to reach out to me. I will leave my personal number and my personal email in the chat. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
No problem. Thank you, Ms. Conley. Please give the senator our best. So I see Mr. Rodriguez from Council District 11, but I want Assemblyman Denowitz to speak. So I think we're going to work through Ivan Nez, his representative. So Mr. Nez is now have the Assemblyman available. So welcome to you, Assemblyman Denowitz. How are you doing this month?
I'm well, Dr. Burke. How are you?
Fantastic. Thank you for asking.
Okay, I'm sorry we have to speak this indirect way. This isn't the first time. I'm not sure what the problem is, but whatever, as long as we communicate. So
Yes,
I will be especially brief because given the whole computer thing here. I just wanted to let everybody know that the state budget is going to be passed, we think, sometime next week. And given the circumstances that our state has been in for the past year, I think we are about to really come through big time for the people in the state of New York. I think, as you know, the bottom fell through in the state economy. We lost a huge amount of our revenue because tourism, Wall Street, real estate, among others, provide an enormous amount of revenue. That's how we pay for our schools. That's how we pay for healthcare and so many other things. And because of the pandemic, everything changed. But what's happening is we are getting an enormous amount of aid from the federal government. This is part of the rescue package that President Biden just signed, that Senator Schumer led the way on in the Senate. And many of you got checks in the mail as a result of, you might have gotten $1,400 checks or something approaching that. And that's all part of their rescue plan. But we are getting a huge amount of funding from the federal government, and that's going to help us balance our budget and take care of the priorities that we have. And that means restoring cuts to healthcare, restoring cuts to education. We're dealing with issues like foreclosure prevention, so many other things. And so it may turn out that this year is not only going to be better than we thought, but it's going to be a lot better than we thought. And I know that the people in Board 12, the people in the Northeast Bronx, have a lot of important priorities. Legislation that we passed earlier, my legislation, in fact, and I mentioned foreclosure prevention, foreclosure moratorium, and the eviction moratorium. That's helped thousands and thousands of people. And we're going to keep doing things that really address the terrible issues that have been created because of the pandemic. We're all working to make sure that vaccinations are available to everybody in every corner of the Bronx. We want to make sure nobody gets shortchanged, and lots of people in the Bronx are getting vaccinated. The rates of vaccination are going up, and we still have a lot more work to do on that. I hope everybody who is eligible, which is most people now, I hope everybody who is eligible to get vaccinated does get vaccinated. That will save lives, maybe your life, maybe somebody else's life, but it's really, really important. If you have any questions on that issue or any other issue, please contact my district office. My staff has been working twice as hard, 3 times as hard in the past year, taking care of unemployment issues, and now especially dealing with vaccination issues. So if you need to reach us, the phone number, and I'm sure most of you have it, is 718-796-5345. And the email is dinowitzj@nyassembly.gov. So we're easily reachable, and we're here to help everybody. And again, my district line cuts through the district. Speaker Hasty has the bulk of Community Board 12, but I have the area west of Barnes Avenue, including the west side of Barnes Avenue. So part of Wakefield, all of Woodlawn is in my district, and we just want to help everybody with every problem that there is, and we have a lot of legislation we're working on besides the budget, but I'll talk about that at another time because I don't want to overstay my welcome. So again, thank you so much, and thank you to all the board members for all the work you do for our community.
Well, thank you, Assemblyman Dinowitz. Again, we really appreciate you. Funny, I was just thinking about you the other day because I wrote about 4747, and I see more benches have been erected since we last heard from DHS. So I think that, again, we need to follow up because COVID hopefully will be coming to an end soon. I'm hoping within the next, at least by the fall, and that we can hold their feet to the fire because this is supposedly a quote unquote temporary situation. And so I think it was somewhat disturbing to see more benches being erected. So hopefully, we can get to the bottom of it and figure out what's going on and then hold them accountable.
Well, why don't you and I and our other electeds, we should all talk very soon and see where we go next. And you're right. When somebody says temporary, I always worry because temporary could be a long time, and we want to make sure it's that this comes to a conclusion in an appropriate way that protects the people there, but that protects the neighborhood. So we don't want to let this problem drag out any longer than it's already has.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Assemblyman Denowitz. By the way, we can see you now, so we appreciate you and all the work that you do for us, you and the Speaker, as well as Senator Bailey and Senator Biaggi. So again, thank you so much. We really appreciate you.
Okay, great. Have a good evening.
Same to you. So next we have Mr. Guillermo Rodriguez, and I also see Ms. Santana from the DA's office, but we're going to speak with Mr. Rodriguez first from Council District 11. So Mr. Rodriguez, welcome to Community Board 12.
Hi, good evening. Thank you. So my name is Guillermo Rodriguez. Julia Danielowski was not able to make it tonight, so I'm here on her behalf. So we just wanted really quickly to let people know that even during this time of transition, until all the ballots for Council District 11 are being certified, any constituents that fall within, Council District 11 can still reach out to our office, and there'll still be staff here to help out with anything that they need. I'll put in our information in the chat, but you can give us a call at 718-549-7300. Monday through Fridays, 9:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And our emails is district11@consul.nyc.gov. But I'll put that information in chat as well. And I think I need some sort of permission to be able to put in the chat for everyone, because I don't see the
No,
option.
you should be able to. I know Mrs. Johnson is having issues as well, and I do not know why. You can't. I mean, the chat is open to everybody, so I don't know what's going on. But hopefully you can. But I know that I've been communicating with Mrs. Johnson because I know she has information that she needs to put in the chat, and so I'm gonna ask our our wonderful district manager if he knows what's going on, if he can help out with that. But you should be able to, because I am seeing some communication in the chat. So some people are able to post, and so I'm hoping that that can be remedied.
Okay, yeah, I'm not able
I-
to, so I'll just resend it, I guess, to you, and if you can just paste it in chat, that would be helpful.
Okay, you know what? You can send it to myself. I actually sent it to the district manager or Miss Ursula Green, either one of them, because I said right now, because I'm kind of sort of just watching the entire board. But if you could send it to our district manager and he could post it for you, and then I think that would probably work better. Another thing I can suggest is that I don't know if you may want to log off and log back on and try that. But if you cannot post in the chat, then again, just send everything to either our district manager, Mr. George Torres, or our community associate, Miss Ursula Green, and they will post it for you. Okay.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. You got it. Take care of yourself. So I see Miss Santana, actually Miss Tavares. So I'm gonna call you up, Miss Tavares, and so that we can unmute you. Right now I'm having problems, so please just bear with me. Again, just bear with me. It's not working properly for whatever reason. So let's try it this way. So again, please just bear with me. Okay, so Miss Santana, for whatever reason, I cannot find you in the participants list. And I mean, I know that you're here because you posted it in the chat. So I do not know. I'm trying to find you again, see if I can. I'm scanning and I don't know what's going on. I see you in the chat, but I do not see you to unmute you so that you can bring us greetings from the district attorney's office. I see Ms. Diaz from the DA's office, so I'm going to click on Ms. Diaz instead, if you don't mind. So, Ms. Erica Diaz, welcome.
Good evening, everyone. This is Erica Diaz from Bronx District Attorney's Office. Unfortunately, Ms. Santana Tavares was having technical difficulties. I would in them as well, I can't post in the chat, but she provided her contact information. Our office is currently working through the process of getting more people working in the office as the city begins to open up office buildings again with minimal capacity. Also, we're still working on putting together another buyback that's looking like a May date. As soon as we have those details, we will definitely share them with the community board as well as with the public at large. We're also still promoting our concept program. I know as the school year continues and we're getting into those warmer days, Students want to be outside, students want to be hanging out and chatting with their friends online, but sometimes we aren't always aware of what that chatting online, whether it's a computer or video game, what that entails. And one of the workshops that we do give is internet safety. That also includes helping parents understand the different methods and platforms that their children are using, whether it's Snapchat, Instagram, even in their own like virtual classrooms. There's times where other people gain access to them. I know there's been times where I've been on some of these meetings on a platform and they actually have other people access them. So if you have any questions or if our office can be of any assistance, please contact Ms. Marilex Santana Tavares or myself. Thank you.
Okay, so again, thank you so much, Ms. Diaz. And again, I see where, Ms. Santana has been able to post in the chat, and there is somewhat of a delay because I was finally able to access her. But nonetheless, I think with the both of you being able to address the issues that's coming from the district attorney, that is absolutely fantastic. And so I guess my question is, I see a note here, and so I'm going to do this. So I see that Mr. Denowitz Jr. is here. So Mr. Eric Denowitz, and so please unmute yourself and address us here at Community Board 12.
Thank you. Thanks very much. I just wanted to say a quick hello to everyone. As many of you know, I'm Eric Dinowitz. I'm the Democratic District Leader in the Northwest Bronx, and I do a lot of work with elections. We just had an election on Tuesday. I was actually one of the candidates in the election. I was a candidate for City Council. And I want to thank those of you who came out and voted. I want to thank you for voting. I actually came in first place in Woodlawn and Wakefield. So we're still counting, we're still figuring out the results of the election. With ranked choice voting, there's lots of rounds of counts and recounts. But again, I just want to thank everyone who came out and voted. Of course, especially for those of you here, because Woodlawn and Wakefield came out so strongly for me. And I deeply appreciate that. Things look good. I hope to be serving as your council member in the coming weeks. But regardless, there is another election on June 22nd for City Council, not to mention mayor and a number of other offices. So again, I want to thank you all. I look forward to continuing to work with you, continuing to attend meetings and being part of the neighborhood, regardless of the results of the election. Thank you.
All right. Well, again, thank you, Mr. Denowitz, for coming in, addressing us here at Community Board 12. And whether it's you or one of your contemporaries, we here look forward to working with whoever is victorious from that election. So again, thank you for coming to speak with us. So before closing out, is there any other elected officials? I think I have everybody. Ms. Gray, I don't know. Again, I'll try you one last time. I know that there has been some issues going on, so let's try this one more time. So Ms. Gray, from Senator Bailey's office, so you are unmuted, so can you say something? I don't know, it says you do a testing. I don't know whether it's your mic or not, so but welcome nonetheless. Okay, so Ms. Gray, we can't hear you, so I don't know if you're speaking or not, but yeah, we can't hear you. So nonetheless, we know that you're here from Senator Bailey's office, and so again, we thank you so much for coming, and we're pretty certain that you're here to bring us greetings from Senator Bailey. What I would ask you to do is the following: if you could put your information, which you've done, in the chat. If there's anything that you would like us to know from the senator, if you could put that in the chat as well, we would be indebted to you. So thank you very much. All right. So I do not see any more elected officials. So next it is time to hear from the borough president. And of course, that means that it is time for the one and only Miss Alexis Ruiz from the Borough President's office. So welcome, Alexis. How are you doing today?
Good evening, Dr. Burke. I hope you're doing well. Good evening, everyone. I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here with you all. I don't have anything new to report. I just want to give the reminder that if you haven't done so already, please, please, please send in the completion certificate that you received after you have completed the sexual harassment training course. And also, for new members, if you haven't done so already, please notarize the EEO certification form that is attached to the application and then send that in once it's notarized and signed. If you have any questions or any difficulties, please reach out to me via email. I'm going to enter all of my information in the chat. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you. And please give the borough president our best. We spoke with Madam Deputy early today, and of course, I'll be reporting out some of that information in a little bit. So, and actually, I'll be reporting it out now because we're at the point in the agenda where it is actually my turn. So we're actually moving pretty quickly. So I'm pretty happy about that. So if we look at where we're at in the agenda, we're already at item 4, which of course is the community board chairperson's report. So to that end, I'm not going to belabor my report because all of you have it. So I'm only going to really point out a couple of things. And so again, for everybody that is on the email list of our community associate, Ms. Ursula Green, you already have this. All board members do have this information already. So I'm just going to highlight some information, and it's as follows. So the last time we were together, we had 3 vaccination sites, and those were all Walgreens / Dwayne Reed drugstores, which were located on White Plains Road, Baychester Avenue, and Boston Road. So since that time, we have now increased the number of testing sites from 3, I want to say, to now it's a total of 8 sites. And that includes, of course, the brand new site that we have in the Northeast Bronx. And we like to thank our elected officials, Speaker, Senator Bailey, and Councilman Raleigh, as well as Congressman Bowman, amongst others, for helping to get that together. And again, you can read the details in the report. As you can also look and see, there's also other information as it pertains to where you can access the vaccine. Again, and now just to let everybody know that the eligibility now is for people that are age 50 and older. So if you're now, and so that changed as of Tuesday. So obviously I submitted my report earlier than that. So of course, that's why I said 65, but that should read 50 now. So if you're age 50 and older, you're eligible to receive this information. Again, all the websites are listed for those of you that have this information. You can click on the hyperlink. For those of you that are watching via BronxNet, I'm going to hold it here for a second so that you can hopefully capture the web information where you can find out where you can get the vaccine if it is your turn. Ultimately, you can call this number 800-925-4733. Again, that's 800-925-4733, and you can have access to the vaccine. The only other thing I want to mention, of course, is that you see here where we had a meeting this morning with Deputy Borough President Ms. Scott McFadden, and I sent out a notice to the board as it pertains to an item that we thought that we would be voting on, but in fact we were not. So as an update as to what's going to happen with that is that we're going to have a discussion from the people who are sponsoring and actually wrote the resolution. And before we as a borough service cabinet vote on this, the presenters are going to come to each and every community board to solicit support. So prior to this meeting, I had a conversation with our housing committee chair, Mr. Robert Hall, and informed him of what's going to happen. So at some point when either myself or our district manager or our community associate, Ursula, gets the notice that they're going to come to speak to the housing committee, then of course we will let Mr. Hall know, and of course Mr. Hall will let all of you know what took place, or excuse me, that conversation is taking place, so that you can express your concerns to the Mitchell Lama Housing Program. The only other things that came up at the meeting, and again, I have the slides, but hopefully what can happen is either I will get it out to the board, or our district manager will get it out to the board. But we had a presentation from the Parks Department in which they're pretty much ramping up their campaign for the summer months. And, obviously some of the things that we talked about was, of course, grilling in the park. And so I found out something that, quite frankly, I didn't know, that that it is legal to grill in New York City parks. So the only thing that they ask us to do is to clean up after ourselves. And part of the initiative that they were purporting this morning was, of course, the space for the receptacles. And this campaign is going to be launching soon. And so we ask that you look out for it. The next presenters that we had were from the New York State Workers' Compensation Board. And there was a presentation by the chairperson of that board, Ms. Clarissa Rodriguez, in which the board, pretty much the Workers' Comp Board, has they have 3 points of entry in which, of course, they review reports of injuries and payments, injuries and payments that are made by the insurance company. And of course, they're akin to the court system. And so hopefully I won't go into that entire presentation, but what hopefully we will do is get that out to the board and subsequently the community as soon as we can. Last but not least, of course, there was a presentation that was given by the New York City Veterans Affairs, Department of Veteran Services. Mr. Terry Holliday was a presenter, and he gave his phone number for those veterans that are out there. His number is 212-416-5250. And one of the things that he discussed was, of course, housing support for veterans. So again, if you are a veteran and if you are in need of veteran services, then if you would please go to www.nyc.gov/vets, VETS, then you can access that information. Likewise, if you are in need of workers' compensation, I ask you to go to www.wcb.ny.gov, and likewise, you can get that information as well. So with that being said, I am done with my report, and so I would like to thank you for your attention, and I would like to turn this over to our district manager, Mr. George Torres.
I don't have anything to report. I've sent Ursula sent out my report. It was 2 pages long. For the sake of time, I told you all at our last full board meeting that I was not going to be reading my report. The only thing that I would highlight, I guess, is we've had some very small victories, and I think we should all be very proud of that. Pratt Avenue, with the issue with the retaining wall, with help from board members like John Isaac, knocking on doors, literally knocking on homeowners' doors. Their DOT is ready to start working on the road bed next month. They're going to start, well, I shouldn't say they're going to start. DDC is then going to look at replacing the retaining wall. But that's going to be a 1 or 2 year project. We don't know just yet. This is one of those projects that during district budget consultations, we can fight for. Or advocate for, I should say. But again, I'm not going to read it. So if you have any questions, feel free to call me or shoot me an email. Everybody should have the email, should have the report. And if anybody has questions, I'm more than happy to help. But otherwise, have a great evening. I'll see you.
Okay, so thank you very, very much, George, for your report, and we appreciate this. So the next thing, of course, we're going to discuss is that right now we don't, unfortunately, have the minutes because quite a bit has been going on, and so that's fine. We will, get the minutes to you when we get them. So to that end, I'm going to ask our treasurer, Ms. Tolene Dickerson, and Tolene, I'm trying to find you here, if she would please give us a brief update as to what's going on. So Tolene, the floor is yours.
Hi, good evening, family. I'm glad to see everybody's face and that everybody is safe. Report is real easy, real quick. We still have $1,004.56. I have put together a nice little sheet of paper so that everyone can start sending in their money for a Sunshine Fund, and that would be $20. You can send it in by check or drop it off at the community board office. I will be trying to get a different way or another way that you can send it by Zelle or Cash App or something. Still working on that with the bank. And that's it. Glad to see everybody.
Not a problem. Not a problem, Ms. Dickinson. I tell you, we're moving right along. So thank you so much. I think the one thing that I want to mention in the financial report. So I think Ms. Dickinson and I we're working on getting access to our account, and so we're probably going to do that sometime next month. The one thing that I want to plant, and Totally, I didn't get a chance to call you on this before the meeting. But the one idea that I want to plant in not only your ear, but the rest of the board's ear, is that with the Sunshine Fund, maybe what an idea that I had was just thinking about maybe getting a lapel pin for community board members. So for instance, you know how our elected officials have
Yes.
a lapel pin, whether they're city council, whether they're a state office holder or a federal office holder. And what I'm thinking is that, if we're wearing a blazer or so forth, because eventually our district manager is working on the fact that hopefully, prayerfully, we can get back in here before the end of the year, where we can meet in person. That we have a lapel pin that will represent us as members of Community Board 12. Obviously, members in good standing. So I just want that would have to be purchased, and maybe if board members would be willing to do that, then maybe we would look at that as an increase in the Sunshine Fund to not only go for bereavement costs, but for the cost of a pen. So I just want to put that idea to you. And again, I apologize for not bringing it to you prior to now, but I just, something that came up as we were coming to the meeting today.
Okay. Thank you. We'll talk about it.
Okay, yes, we will. All right, thank you so much. So next on the agenda is we want to look at committee recommendations. So we're actually moving right along. And, again, I really appreciate that. So on the original agenda, there really wasn't anything to discuss as far as committee recommendations. And of course, something occurs. And so we're right here at section 8 in the agenda before we move into old business. And so I want to circle back to a presentation that we heard in Community Speaks by, I'm just going to say, I think it's Ms. Cruikshank, is if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. So I'm going to unmute her, and I'm going to unmute Mr. Lanzano because, of course, he's the chair of the Health Committee, the Health and Human Services Committee. So, Ms. Cruikshank, I'm going to unmute you as well as Mr. Lanzano. I've unmuted Mr. Lanzano, hopefully, if he can unmute himself. So, Mr. Lanzano, if you can unmute yourself, I'm try this again so that you can issue your recommendation. So, Ms. Cruikshank, you are unmuted. Mr. Lanzano, we're trying to unmute you. So there should be a button where you can unmute yourself. Okay. Okay. Okay, Mr. Lanzano, we're having issues, and if not, then I can read it for you, Mr. Lanzano, so I can read what you wrote. Is that okay? Okay, so I'm going to read what Mr. Lanzano wrote. And so to make a long story short, so Ms. Cruikshank, you gave us an idea of what you wanted. And so this is the time for board members to ask you questions because we need to call this to a vote. So here's what Ms. Lanzano said. So, and I'm reading a direct quote. With respect to Human First, I was about to give my report and recommendations about 814 Chestnut Street when, okay, so we had problems with WebEx. And so he stated the following: I personally visited 814 Chestnut Street, though I didn't go inside. Human First told us that the one apartment on the second floor of the two-family residence was over 1,200 square feet. It was to accommodate 4 challenged clients and 1 full-time staffer. There are 4 bedrooms and a common area. The size of the residence seems adequate, but as I brought out at the committee meeting, the committee meeting challenged people would greatly be at risk. And we're talking about challenged people would be the people that would be residing, would be greatly at risk in this area behind Evander Childs High School, especially if they were to use a subway stop at White Plains and Gun Hill Road. We were told they'll be traveling regularly to Harlem, and that would be a train to use. Mike, that's yours truly, did suggest the alternative Metro North, which would be a much better and safer choice, but a much longer walk unless they were getting transportation from house to train. If it were accessible ride, though, they could be taken all the way to Harlem. I spoke with a police officer whose name I neglected to ask for permission to use, who said he didn't think it was a great idea for them and wouldn't feel comfortable recommending that they live there. As far as I know, Human First is a fine service provider, and these 4 people need a place to live. They are also very good neighbors and are usually an inspiration to any neighborhood they move into. But that Gun Hill train station worries me. I am in the, and this is again, Mr. Lanzano, I am in the abstain state of mind, but perhaps I will be more decisive by the next meeting. I realize there's a 40-day notice provision, but I don't know what or whether at this point there's anything we can do either way, but this is my position for now. Respectfully submitted, Carl Lanzano. So with that being said, so that's where Mr. Lanzano stands. And so Mr. Lanzano has his hand raised. We're going to try this one more time, Mr. Lanzano. If you can unmute, that'd be great. But if not, you can't. Okay. So that's where Mr. Lanzano is. Now, let me just say something before we continue on, because I have this in my notes here. The one thing that really bothers me, and let me share some information. So just so you'll know, this is the original letter that was sent to us from Human First, which is the entity that came before the Health Committee. And so, again, we're not going to read this whole thing, but this is the letter that they sent us. So quite frankly, we're a little bit late in getting to this issue, but we're going to vote on it this evening. So this is their letter that was sent to the community board. And as I said, I got a copy as well as Mr. Lanzano, and hopefully members of the Health Committee. So let me just make a comment on this. And yes, I know I'm scrolling quickly, but hopefully you can speed read. And if not, then just send me a note and I can get this information to you, or either George or Ursula can get this to you as well. So with that, I need to make a comment before we open this up for questions for Ms. Cruikshank. We're going to be talking about something tonight in which we're going to be discussing committee, people not showing up for committee meetings. And I think what really frustrates the heck out of me, and what really made why we could not recommend this out of committee, was because we have committee, and I mean, I know that Ms. Ortiz was obviously excused for the reasons that we won't go into, but I mean, I think everyone knows that she lost her daughter, and so clearly Ms. Ortiz was excused. But for everybody else who's on the health committee, and for people who were asking to be on the health committee and then not showing up, is a travesty. So let me go over the rules again, all right, as it pertains to attendance. If you are a board member and if you're not going to be at a board meeting, of course, that is why you call me, the chairman, and let me know that you're going to be excused, so that we will not have to deal with the last issue that we have to deal with tonight, and the issue that we dealt with last month as it pertains to board members not letting anybody know they're going to be at a general board meeting. Likewise, for committee chairs, if you are on a committee or asked to be on a committee and then don't show up at a meeting, that is disappointing as well. So at least have a common courtesy to let Mr. Lanzano or any committee chair know that you are not going to be at the meeting. And so we were not able to vote this out of committee, and Ms. Cruikshank is now here asking us for a vote that should have been voted on in committee, because of course members of the health committee decided not to show up that night. And so I'm a little bit, so if it sounds like I'm scolding you, the answer is yes, because I'm a little bit upset about that. So please, the rules are quite frankly in the bylaws, which most have read, but clearly all have not read. All right, but it is clearly in the bylaws as to attendance for not only general board meetings, but committee meetings as well. So that's just my That's just my input in that, because unexcused committee absences can also result in removal from the board as well. So not just general board meetings, but also absence from committee meetings can result in dismissal as well, because everybody is supposed to be on at least a bare minimum of one standing committee. So with that being said, we need to call for a vote. So board members,
Mike, excuse me, I've gotten my voice now.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lanzano. Okay.
Can I speak?
Yeah, of course you can.
Okay. The issues I had, as Mike laid them out, were that the building, 814 Chestnut Street, is behind Evander Childs. And originally they said that they had to go to work and almost every day down to Harlem, which meant they were going to use the Gun Hill Road White Plains Station, the IRT. And my understanding is it's very dangerous. There's a lot of trouble there, not so much danger, the killing and everything, but the kids really make a riot over there. And the question was whether or not it's appropriate for them to be there. Dr. Burke suggested that they go to the Williams Bridge Metro North Station, which Ms. Cruikshank said they would do. So that's a very good plus. I would like Mr. Hall, who was chairman of around there of the projects in Gun Hill, also to speak to the neighborhood, if he may, if he might. Bob, are you there? Robert Hall? I guess not. Okay. Cheryl gave her speech, her talk about it. It's a very good service they give. The people are coming from Brooklyn to live on the second floor of a two-story building. I was there. It is an upgraded two-family brick house. The issue there might be the steps because they have to go to the top floor. If you have any questions for Cheryl, please ask her now because she's here to answer them. And they've been waiting since November to occupy the building. We couldn't make a recommendation because we didn't have a quorum that day. That's why we're coming directly to the board, because it does have to have a vote. Cheryl, please.
Hi, good evening again. I just wanted to add some additional comments. Based on the conversation.
Can I ask you to hold on, because we actually had Mr. Hall who successfully unmuted himself, and now he's muted again. So Mr. Hall, we're gonna try this one more time. So hold on for a second, Ms. Cruikshank. I've got you. So Mr. Hall, we're gonna try this one more time. There you go. Okay, he unmuted himself and then muted himself. Mr. Hall, let's try this one more time. Okay. Okay, got you, Mr. Hall.
All right. You want to know about the Gun Hill area? Mr. Lanzano?
Yes. The building is a few blocks behind Evander Childs.
Right. It's somewhat desolate over there, but it's decent. It's very quiet. All right. I know what you're talking about. You said Chestnut Street. All right. It's desolate, but it's quiet, but it's decent. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. Okay.
Okay. The issue also is they're moving around from that building to where they would have to go. Do you think it creates any significant or extraordinary danger for them being disabled or a developmental.
No,
Just say-
I don't think it would be that destructive. No. It's
Okay,
okay.
that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, it would be okay, definitely. Thank you, Doctor.
Mr. Figueroa? Yes.
Well, hang on for a second, Mrs. Lanzana. Ms. Cruikshank want to add a couple of more points to that. So let me have her speak.
Sure.
Hi, good evening again. I just wanted to add that we did, after hearing Mr. Carl's concerns, we did also were able to add a vehicle to the program so that they would have access to a car to take them to the Metro North. But I also wanted to add that as a part of the service and the supports that we provide, we teach the individuals how to travel, to care for themselves. And it's the responsibility of staff to make sure that the individuals are always safe. So they would be monitoring them. They would go with them initially to make sure that they know their route, that there is enough, that the environment is appropriate. And if there were any concerns at all, we would not put them in a position where they could be harmed in any way. This is a high functioning group as well, so they mix and mingle into general population pretty easily. But we did hear Mr. Carl's concerns, so we did add a vehicle, but staff are always around to support them. If they would initially be traveling with them all the time, so they would be able to see what's happening and make sure that people remain safe, because obviously that is our ultimate goal as well, is to make sure that the individuals are safe as they're acclimating themselves to, a new environment. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you.
So now you want me to get Mr. Figueroa, Mr. Lanzano. So I've sent a note to Alfredo, so hopefully he can unmute himself. There you go.
What's going on, family? Hope everybody's good. Hi, Ms. Ortiz. God bless you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, so this particular property, my concern is that as I'm looking at the C of O, it reads a legal two-family use group 2 dwelling. If I'm hearing this correctly, they want to turn the second floor to, I'm going to assume, a community facility, which is a use group 4. Is that correct?
Yes.
It's going to
technically,
be
I don't know a technical name for it, but
it'll be a home for 4 people.
No. What I'm saying is, I understand that because we have the same situation on 233rd, and the people bought the property and they converted it actually to a use group 4. So what I'm saying is that, like, let's just say, for instance, you guys take over this property for, let's just figure speech, for like 4 years, 5 years, and you guys decide they don't want to use that for that no more, and the owner of the property sees that they could use it for this type of use. They could easily come back and put a shelter there, or something in that nature. What I'm trying to say that the existing C of O reads a use group 2, which is residential use only, not community facility. So are you guys applying for at least a letter of no objection from the Department of Building stating that they have no objection for that property to be used for what you want?
Well, when we don't have to file with the Department of Buildings because we're not changing the state of the home. The home is going to continue to be a 2-family house dwelling, and we're just renting one of the apartments in the 2-family house rent building. We're not taking over the entire building.
No, I understand that. I guess I'm probably not saying it correctly. So what I'm trying to get at is that the C of George, give me a second. So the C
We're
of
not
O.
changing the C of O. I understand what you're asking me, but I guess what I'm trying to explain is that we're not changing the use of how the house is currently stated in the C of O. It's a 2-family house, and that it's going to stay that way because we're just renting an apartment. We're not, we're not owning the building. We're not purchasing the property. We're just renting an apartment there. So that won't change the status of the building for the building department. So we don't have to apply for anything to the building department.
Thank you.
No problem.
I just want to weigh in on Alfredo's point. It's an interesting point because I hadn't even considered it, Alfredo. You're not providing services at this location, so therefore you don't need to change the certificate of occupancy, is what you're saying.
No, there will be a staff there on every shift, so we will provide supports and services to them, but we don't have to apply for a change in the C of O because we don't own the building and it's not a large community residence. We're talking about 4 people, so we don't have to apply for the building department for that.
So we run across places that are leased, that are not owned, that still have to get an alteration or a new certificate of occupancy. You're saying because you're a small group home, that is not required. You're not required to change the use group from a use group 2, which is private residential living, to a use group 4, which is community facility with sleeping accommodations.
No. And the
Okay.
the staff also are not sleeping there
Yeah,
as well.
understood.
So I just wanted
Understood.
to make that clear that the staff
Yeah.
aren't sleeping there.
No, and Alfredo, I live in Co-op City. We have some group homes in the apartments that are here in Co-op City. I doubt that Co-op City has changed their certificate of occupancy for the people who live here. In my building, I have like 3 apartments that are used as group homes.
Okay, I see where Miss Lisa Hayes has her hand up. So Lisa, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you. So good evening, Ms. Krishna. I have a question. What's your long-term goal in our community? Much like has already been said, a lot of these, in my experience, that often I'm running into individuals who are mentally disabled, and we were promised that they were going to have staff all the time, and I see them in the streets and they are not having any help. And so I just want to know, after, if you were able to get this recommendation from us, what is your long-term goal in our community?
Okay, Ms. Cruikshank, you unmute. Okay, you should be able to unmute. There you go.
Okay, as with any home that we operate, is for people to live out their lives there. We try our best not to move people. So this is really not something that usually happens with us, but our intention is that they would live out their lives there as any other family would moving into an apartment.
Okay, so board members. Oh, I see Ms. Benitez has her hand up. So Ms. Benitez, I see Ms. Benitez. Oh, you just disappeared. Here you go. So Ms. Benitez, there you go.
Ms. Cruikshank, what is the population? Is it male or female?
Hang on for a second. She's got muted again. Okay, there you go.
Sorry, I keep muting myself because my
Yeah,
grandson
just
is
keep your
playing in
mic
the
open.
background.
Yeah, just keep your
I'm
mic
sorry.
open.
So I
That's
was
okay.
trying not to have noise.
No, I understand.
It's a mix. They're both. And they've lived together for a very long time.
It's a mixed group?
Yes.
So that means how many bedrooms will you be having in that apartment?
There's 4 bedrooms, 1 bedroom for each person, and there's 2 bathrooms.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Benitez. So I see Ms. Hayes has her hand up again. So Ms. Hayes.
Thank you. So I just would also like to know why you chose this area, and then is this an area in which you will likely continue to rent apartments in?
There are no plans to look for additional apartments in that area. The reason why we chose that area is because the individuals currently live together in Manhattan and they're moving out of the apartment, and their families, in terms of the opportunity for their families to be able to visit them, that location was something that was a happy medium for the families that were involved. It's also a very nice home, and they've lived together for a long time, so we wanted to put them somewhere where they could continue to be as independent as possible, still stay together, and be able to see their families. So those were some of the factors, and it was also affordable.
Okay, so seeing no more hands, so I am going to now unlock everybody's mic, and I'm now going to call for a vote to accept the Health Committee's report. So we're not voting on the resolution just yet. We're just asking to accept the report. So we're going to do that by a simple majority. So, Madam Secretary, do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so we have a quorum. So let me just ask this by a show of hands before we call for the individual vote. Well, actually, no, we can do it one of two ways. We're going to vote on the report, and then I'm going to ask you whether or not you're going to change. Well, never mind. I think that may be because I'm hearing some antipathy. So what I now want to do is the following. I'm going to ask you if you would, if you want to accept the report. Let me just see your hands. Is that? I think that's an easier way to do it. To accept the report, not to vote on the issue. So let me see your hands to accept the report. So raise it so Ms. Benitez can see it, please, board members.
Now, how do you want me to do this? Because then I would have to be sitting here looking at each.
Okay, so you want to call a roll?
Fine. I got to call a roll.
Okay, then have at it, Madam Secretary.
Dr. Burke, she has to call the roll to make it official.
Understand, Mr. Stricker. Thank you. So, all right, so Madam Secretary, call the roll. Okay, so let me just say this, right? And I can speak for Ms. Benitez when I say this. When she calls your name, unmute yourself so we can get this done quickly. It should not take 10 minutes for her to call the entire roll, right? So you know that your name is coming up, unmute yourself when the time comes, not before, and then that way we can get it done. Okay, Madam Secretary?
Abdul Hussein.
Yes.
Franklin Alico. Jerry Bennett.
Yes.
Sidney Blair. Sidney Blair.
Yes. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Sidney Blair.
Yes.
Okay. Denise Bond.
Yes.
Ivan Boraz.
Aye.
Paula Basadi.
Aye.
Aline Brown.
Aye.
Jerome Brown. Jerome Brown. Victor Brown.
Aye.
Deacon Brown. Deacon Brown.
Say aye.
Aye. Thank you. Norbert Bryan. Norbert Bryan. I know he's here, but is he here still?
He's here, Madam Secretary.
He is?
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
gonna, is he saying aye? Is anybody saying?
I can't hear him.
Okay, up. Sadie Campbell. Sadie, raise your hand if you're saying aye. Thank you.
Madam Secretary, I'm sorry. This is Jerome Brown. I have a difficulty unmuting myself. I'm aye also.
Thank you. Gail Clark. Joan Claude.
Present.
Yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you. Beatrice Coronel.
Yes.
Colleen Dickinson,
Yay.
Kevin Eichelberger.
Aye.
Thank you. Alfredo Figueroa,
Same.
abstain.
Sam.
Thank you. Barbara Gibson,
Abstain.
Johnny Goff. Johnny Goff. Is she still there?
She's there, but she's muted. She's muted.
Does anybody see her face?
Yes, she's there.
And she said yes. Is she shaking her head?
She said aye.
Thank you. You see what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Chantel Green. Robert Hall.
Aye. I'm sorry. Can you hear me? Aye.
Who's that?
Chantel Green.
Okay, thank you.
Robert Hall, aye.
I got you. Lisa Hayes.
Aye. Aye.
John Isaac.
Aye.
James, Theodore James.
Aye.
Keisha Martin. Keisha.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. I.
Yes.
Ifa Last. Is Ifa Last on the phone or there? Colin Zano.
Aye.
Lucille Martin.
She raised her hand. She raised her hand.
I got you. I got you. Shanika Moore. Shanika Moore. I saw that she needs to. Okay, got you. Clinton Mike.
Aye.
Thank you.
Madam Secretary, can you hold on for a second? If you have had your name called, and some of you have, and have your mics open, please close your mics. It's so rude when we're trying to call a roll. If you've had your name called, I shouldn't have to say this. If you've had your name called, please close your mic so that Madam Secretary can call the roll for everybody. Thank you. Madam Secretary, continue, please.
Okay, thank you. Carmen Ortiz. Shake your head if you're saying aye. Carmen.
Yes, aye.
Thank you, dear. Frank Porter. Claudia Powell. Claudia Powell. Anthony Reed. Anthony Reed.
Aye.
Who is that?
Claudia Powell.
You're saying aye?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Robin? Is Dr. Dina Robbins there? Harry Singh?
Aye.
Thank you. Carl Stricker?
Aye.
Thank you. Nicole Ware?
Aye.
Nicole Ware?
Aye.
Thank you. Dr. Michael Berg?
Aye.
The ayes have it for the report, accepting the report. We need to go on to the next half.
Oh, okay. So now, so let me ask this question. So now, does anybody want to change their vote?
You need a motion first, Michael.
You're right, and I'm rushing. I'm rushing, Mr. Stricker. You're absolutely right. So here's what we've got. We've got now, so we've accepted the report. So now we need a motion to accept the recommendation of the Health Committee. right? And
I
so
make
Ms.
that
Lance,
motion.
okay, so the motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second, John Isaac.
Okay, so the motion's been made by Mr. Strickland and properly seconded. Is there any more in readiness?
And what are we
Call,
doing?
all right, call for the
Call the
vote.
question.
All right, call for the vote. Madam Secretary?
Okay. Hussein Abdul,
Aye.
Franklin Alapo, Judith Benitez abstains. Egeria Bennett,
Aye.
Sidney Blair, Denise Bond,
Aye.
Ivan Boras,
Or you broke up. Aye.
Carla Basati,
Aye.
Marlene Brown, Marlene Brown,
Aye.
thank you. Jerome Brown,
I also.
thank you. Victor Brown,
Aye.
Deacon Brown,
Aye.
Norbert Bryan, Norbert Bryan. Does anyone see Norbert Bryan?
He's on, but I have no idea what's going on.
Do you actually see him?
I see him on, but I don't see him at all.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm gonna pass on him. Sid Campbell. Sadie, yes, no, okay, gotcha. Gail Clark. Joan Claude.
Aye.
Beatrice Coronel.
I apologize, but I'm unclear on what we're voting for now.
In reference, what is the exact, we're voting for them to come into our community?
I would like to read the report, so I'm going to abstain before I would need more information, so I'm abstaining.
No problem. Charlene Dickerson.
Aye.
Kevin Eichelberger.
Aye.
Alfredo.
Abstain.
I got you. Barbara Gibson.
Abstain.
Johnny Goff. Johnny Goff. Okay, got you. Chantel Green.
Abstain.
Thank you. Robert Paul.
Aye.
Lisa Hayes.
Aye.
John Isaac.
Aye.
Theodore James.
Aye.
Keisha Martin.
Aye.
Ifa Lass. Colin Zano.
Aye, but to be clear, and the vote is to support them moving into the property, just in case one person wasn't clear. That's what we're voting on now, to accept, to say whether or not we support them moving into that property at 814 Chestnut. I vote aye.
Okay, thank you. Does that help you, Beatrice? Okay, do you want to change your vote?
No, I would need more information. I apologize. So I'm abstaining.
Okay, no problem. Lucille Martin. Shaniqua Moore,
Aye.
Clinton Mike,
Aye.
Carmen Ortiz. Carmen Ortiz, yes or no? Okay, got you. Frank Porter,
Yes.
I got you, thank you. Claudia Powell,
Yes.
Anthony Reed. Anthony Reed,
Just to let you know, Anthony is texting me saying that he can't get on, that the host has to let him on.
oh, wow. Okay. Okay, thank you for that info. Dr. Dina Robbins, Harry Singh,
Aye.
Carl Stricker,
Aye.
Nicole Ware,
Aye.
Dr. Michael Berg.
Aye.
Has anybody heard from Norbert Bryan? Is he having any problems or? Okay, the ayes have it.
Motion passes. Thank you, Madam Secretary, and thank you, Board. So, Ms. Cruikshank, the motion passes. Yeah, you can unmute yourself. I've unlocked the mics. So I want to say I apologize that, in essence, we had a health committee meeting and we also kept you waiting. And so, you've done your due diligence. And so, we didn't do ours. So on behalf of the community board, let me offer my apologies to you. But nonetheless, we were able to get the business of the community done. So again, thank you very, very much for bringing this to our attention. Mr. Lanzano, thank you for your work in shepherding this through. And again, we just spent an extra 30 minutes at a meeting when this could have been done at the committee level. But again, this wasn't your fault, Mr. Lanzano. So again, thank you very, very much, Ms. Cruikshank. And is there anything that we can do? Just let us know. But you have some final words.
I just wanted to thank the community board. We look forward to becoming a productive part of the community board, and we look forward to a long-lasting and great relationship. So thank you so much.
Well, you're very welcome. And again, you know how to get in contact with me. You know how to get in contact with our district manager. You know how to get in contact with Mrs. Lanzano. So anything
Absolutely,
you need from
and
us,
you have
just
my
please feel free
information
to
as
reach out.
well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you very
thank
much.
you. Good night, everyone.
Not a problem. You as well. Okay. So we're now
Nice.
at part of the agenda where, yes, Clinton.
I wasn't talking. Never mind.
Oh, okay,
I was
okay,
saying.
okay. All right, not a problem. So we're now at the part of the agenda where we're going to talk about old business. And so hopefully I'm going to be very, very quick. So I'm going to just share my screen and I'm going to be talking while sharing. So under old business, we're going to talk about the City Planning and Housing Preservation and Development Joint Stakeholders Meeting. So that meeting was actually scheduled to take place this month. You've heard me say this before. Our district manager has been working very, very hard to make that happen. But what wound up happening was that both agencies canceled on us this month. And so tentatively it's supposed to be scheduled for next month. Now, we don't have a date as of yet, or at least, okay, so George would like to chime in. So George, chime in for us, please.
Hey, sorry. So they're proposing 4/24 or
Okay.
5/1. So 4/24, what are we? 4/24 would be the Saturday of April, and then 5/1 would be May, the next Saturday after that.
Right. So yeah, 4/24 is the last Saturday in April, and 5/1 would be the first Saturday in May. So
Correct.
what my suggestion is that for this, again, we're gonna probably have some of these meetings during the month, and what we can do is we can put out a survey during the month. And board members, let me just say this, right? When we put out the information, all right, we need you to respond, because here's what happens when you don't respond. Then you let an executive decision take place, and then some of you will come back and say, oh, well, I didn't know, or oh, that date doesn't work for me, right? And by then it's too late. So if I put a notice out, then of course, please respond. Case in point, I put a note out for the resolution on Mitchell Lama housing, right? So of the 42 board members that we have, I only heard from five out of 42, right? So again, if I only hear from those five, guess what? I'm voting in the direction of those five. So when we put this out, so you know the dates, 4/24 and 5/1, those are the dates. So when we put this out, please respond, okay? So thank you, George, as far as we were up with that. The second item that's under old businesses, mandatory inclusionary housing definition and its effect on Community Board 12. So for those of you that were at the last Land Use Committee meeting that Mr. Stricker and Attorney Singh chaired for us, Mr. Ted Weinstein actually came on and actually explained the topic of mandatory inclusionary housing. So I'm just going to give a brief definition for those that don't know what it is. What that is, that's part of Mayor de Blasio's program to increase the degree of affordable housing, and of course also to empty the homeless shelters. And so what this in essence does is that it takes it takes manufacturing areas that were once manufacturing and then it asks you to zone it to residential. So in fact, the women's shelter that's now being constructed on East 233rd Street is in this type of MIH district because that's a manufacturing district. But since that particular area is in that manufacturing district, Mr. Mayor de Blasio said, okay, well, fine, we're going to make that housing, of course, and that's what this shelter did. And again, I spoke about that last January, if you recall. So we have a developer that's going to be coming before us soon, and the address is, of course, is 4541 Furman Avenue. And again, that's going to be the same type of deal that's coming up. So they're going to want to put housing there right across the street from the railroad tracks. And so one of the things that was discussed at the last Land Use Committee meeting was that there are many other things that we need. So for instance, we need job training. And so, we had the idea of a job training site for those people that may want to learn carpentry skills or automotive skills or something else. I mean, I know we talked about hydroponics at the Pear Tree site, but that's something that can be used as well. But I think most of what I heard was job training. We tossed that idea out. And so I know our second vice chair is on this, and I asked Ms. Keisha Lago Martin to assist him on this, and as well as Ms. Benitez. But I want, and we're going to talk about this at the next Housing/Land Use Committee meeting, and I'm going to be beating this down the board's door because we need to be proactive. We cannot be reactive and let these people come in and tell us that they want all sorts of housing when, of course, all we know, this is just a nice way for city to empty the homeless shelters and then dump them in our neighborhoods. And again, all of us on this board talk about the quality of life that, we quite frankly don't like right now. And again, that's got to change. The only people that can change it is us. So let's stop being reactive and let's be proactive. I've been preaching this. And so I'm asking you to come up with ideas. And again, I've asked second vice chair and I've asked Ms. Martin. So I'm going to, call on them, at the next meeting to have some ideas for us. And we're going to talk about this in committee. So that's just something that I want to throw out there to you board members. All right. So we have to be proactive. We can no longer be reactive if you want to control the type of community that we live in. And so I just want to bring that to your attention. Okay. As it pertains to new business, there are a couple of items that I want to bring to your attention right quick before we get to the last item on the agenda. So there's going to be a joint meeting of the Economic Development and Transportation Committee on April the 8th. And this is as it pertains to, or as it relates to, the White Plains Road Safety Improvement Plan. Now, I've had the opportunity to take a look at this, as well as Mr. Isaac, as well as George and Ursula. So we've taken a look at the plan, of course, and we've asked several questions. And so the reason that they're coming to us on April 8th is because a lot of the questions that were asked in, I want to say the last, I don't remember if I mentioned this in the transportation, actually in the land use meeting, I think is where I mentioned this. Actually, excuse me, it was executive committee meeting. It was the last executive committee meeting where several questions were asked as it pertains to what's going to happen. And my thing was like, let's see the presentation before we make any conclusions as to how this is going to affect the White Plains Road corridor. So I personally think that you're going to like it, but again, I do not speak for the board. Okay, I can only speak for myself in this instance. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to attend this joint meeting of the Transportation/Economic Development Committee meeting on April 8th, and that way you can see the presentation, which will be made by the Department of Transportation, and then you can come with your own conclusions. That's where all of your questions can be answered. And again, they're postponing it until April so that the questions that were posed by myself, George, John Isaac, and Ursula can be answered, which may be some of your questions. Okay. The next item on the agenda, of course, is the Boards of Standards and Appeal virtual meeting. So this information has been sent out by George and Ursula as it pertains to 2829 Edson Avenue. So the date of that virtual meeting is scheduled for either April the 12th or April the 13th. So that information has not been solidified as of yet. The block in question is block 4800, lot 18. Now, for the record, as I said before, George and Ursula have sent out the information. They've sent an electronic copy, of course, of what I have here, which is the plans of the information. So what I would like George to do is comment on this because he's been a champion on this effort for. So George, if you can just give them a brief rundown, but I need anybody who has anything to say about this project. I need you to come to this BSA meeting because again, we have no voice is loud when we have a lot of us present. So George, if you can just comment on this right quick, and then I'll move on to the next item on the agenda.
Yeah, I think Dr. Burke hit the nail right on the head. It would be really nice if we can have a lot of board members and even the public at large attend this meeting. We will know 1 week before what a date they actually choose, whether it's the 12th or the 13th. But, you know, we've gotten very far. This property owner is now going to build a sidewalk, and they're working with the next property owner. And that is also another small victory. I spoke briefly about it in my report as well, my district manager's report for this month. So, you know, once we get the concrete information on when the date is, I would like everybody to attend. And I would also like for all of you to sign up to testify. Now, you don't have to say anything, but I want to give the BSA Board of Directors, of one of which actually lives in our district, you know, the idea that there are going to be plenty of people speaking on this issue so that they understand where we are coming from. This has been over 20 years coming for this just a regular sidewalk to be built.
Thank you, George. And look, let me just say this. I think because we have been so proactive, because our district manager was really proactive in this, and because we didn't give up any leverage, the fact that we're really getting this sidewalk built. And so again, I took the liberty to, you know, read the district manager's report. So if you haven't read it before the meeting, I invite you to read it. But being proactive, we were able to get the accommodations that, you know, George has just talked about. So again, that's what being proactive will do for us as a board. And so I'm imploring each and every one of you, if you can make it, as well as the community at large. And for those of you that are listening to me on BronxNet as well, if you can make this meeting, again, you can go to www.nyc.gov/BSA, which is for the Board of Standards and Appeal. And then you can find out exactly when that date is. Okay. Okay, thank you. 3 more items on the new business. So executive officer elections. So for 2021. So it's coming to the time of year where it's time for elections for the board, for chair and vice chair, first and second vice chair, in addition to all the other offices, including our brand new office, of course, of corresponding secretary. So we need to form our nominating committee. And so what I'm going to ask, my brother Clinton to lead that again. And here's why, Clinton. Here's why. Now you're giving me that look, but here's the reason why. First of all, because you know I love you, although you went to Norfolk State, but I still love you nonetheless, right? But more importantly, because you've done this before in this virtual environment, and I think the way that you carried out the election was absolutely splendid. It went without reproach, and I think everybody's shaking their head. Yes, the way that you conducted the election was absolutely outstanding, and quite frankly, especially since you now have that experience, you and your team, I think, would be ideal because at the earliest, we're not looking to get back into our building and this is a prayer that we can get back in September. Okay, so that's why I'm asking you to please, chair this committee again with your team in place. And that way, it will be a smooth transition. So I thank you for your service in advance because I know that you're willing to help us out, and I know more importantly that you care about this board, and so you would like to see a smooth transition. So thank you in advance to you and your team, Clinton.
Excuse me. Excuse me. I would like to be part of that. How are you saying you have a team? It's open
Okay,
to
Ms. Gibson,
board,
Ms.
sir.
Gibson, we'll if you look, we have the committee that's already in place,
No,
and
sir.
so Ms. Gibson,
No,
we
sir.
need to, Ms. Gibson, we have the
It's open
committee
to
in
the board.
place. Ms. Gibson, we have the committee in place, and we're not going to
No,
do it
sir.
tonight. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna have to lock her in. Okay, so with that being said, I'm gonna move on to the next item on the agenda. And the next item on the agenda is the discipline committee. So, you've been hearing us talk about the discipline committee for quite some time. And so, and I know Dr. Hall, God bless him, I know that, we want to form the discipline committee. And, I've been talking about it as well. But unfortunately, we never really did. And this was something that the borough president asked each community board to do quite some time ago, and quite frankly, we just never got around to it. And there have been some incidents that have been happening recently, which now require us to really to do this. And so, if you want to know where you can find this information regarding this committee, you can actually find it in your community board handbook. Okay, so you can find this in community board handbook, and I want to say I thought I had the page number written down. Yes, I do. It's page 15. So you can find this in page 15 of the community board handbook, where the directive was clearly given to each community board to form this community. So all 12 community boards in the Bronx were supposed to form this committee. Now, look, I think where the district manager stands as far as forming committees, and where I stand as far as forming committees. And quite frankly, we do not want to, we don't want to form another committee if we don't have to. But I think in this particular case, it's necessary. And so I know George is smiling, but we discussed this. It is necessary. Additionally, several board members have approached me with this as well. And so, we know how to form a committee because, of course, that's given to us by, or how to change the bylaws. So here's what needs to happen. So in order to form this discipline committee, so if you look on page 16, it tells us, the borough president gives us the directive that the first thing that we need to do is we need to amend the bylaws. And so it's in the second paragraph of the handbook. So for those of you on page 16, for those of you that are looking at it, it's on the second paragraph right here. So the first thing we need to do is amend the bylaws. So in order to amend the bylaws, it takes one person to be able to put something in writing and send it to the chairman, that it is actually brought up at the next board meeting and so forth, and the chairman will do so. So I had actually about 3 or 4 board members actually bring this to my attention. And so they put this in writing. And so I'm acknowledging that I have received it. And so I am bringing it to the floor. So what is going to happen now is that since I brought it to the floor, according to the bylaws, Article 9, Section 1, for those of you that are unaware, that's where you can find this, Article 9, Section 1. What we now will do is that this will go before the bylaws committee, right? So I know that the bylaws committee has not met in quite some time, which is good, but this will go before the bylaws committee so that they can discuss this and eventually adopt this. And then at the very next general board meeting that we will have, which will be next month, then we will take a vote on the recommendation of the bylaws committee to form this discipline committee. So for those of you that may want to know what the discipline committee does, and so again, that is on page 15 as well, but it gives the purpose of the discipline committee and how it is to be constructed. And so again, I'm not going to read this out aloud because again, everybody should have a copy of this. And so you will be, if you don't, then of course, please see George or Ursula, or more importantly, you could read it on the website. It is on the Bronx Borough President's website where you can actually read the discipline committee and what it does and how it should be formed and what its purpose is. So again, I'm not going to read all of that out, but I would just say in light of recent events, then this is something that needs to be formed. And so I would thank those board members that brought this to my attention. And so we will look at forming one more standing committee. The discipline committee obviously will only meet in times when it is necessary. So although it will be a standing committee, it will not go on the monthly calendar. All right. So, but it will be a standing committee. So we will finally follow through on the directive from the borough president. Okay.
May I speak? Who's on the committee, sir?
Ms. Gibson. Last but not least.
Who's on that committee, sir?
Excuse me?
I can't hear you. I'm asking you who's on the committee
You cannot have a committee that has not been formed yet, Ms. Gibson.
I'm understanding. That's why I'm asking you. When are you going to select?
Ms. Gibson, I just explained to you that, and to the entire board and to the community, that the way that it is selected goes by the bylaws committee first.
Thank you.
So if you're interested, then you can attend the next bylaws committee meeting whenever Mr. Stricker and Ms. Borsardi call that meeting. You're more than welcome to attend.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay. Next. And unfortunately, last on the agenda is an item that, again, we revisited. We started in January and we have to revisit again. And so we have some names before us. And I'm glad to say that some of those people on the list are actually here tonight, which is fantastic. It's unfortunate that, you know, they had to take putting names on an agenda to get them here, but nonetheless, I'm glad they're here, nonetheless. And so again, this is not, as we did in January and we did in February, this is not a final vote, all right? Due process is due to each member on this list. But as we all know, our bylaws clearly tell us that we have to show up at board meetings and or committee meetings. Right, it's very evident, and the borough president has been cracking down on that. And I promised you that if I became chairman, that I would do as much to make certain that we hold everybody accountable. So to that end, we have a list of people that are here that have either missed 3 consecutive meetings, that have missed either more than half of the general board meetings, or don't serve on any committees at all and have not served on any committees at all of which are leaves these individuals available for expulsion from the board. So how this works is the following. So I sent each of those individuals a letter, right? So they have their electronic copy now. The certified copy will probably be going out tomorrow, but each member has their electronic copy. Copy was also sent to our district manager, as well as our community associate, as well as Mr. Tom McCania from the Borough President's office. So what happens is the following. Tonight, you will decide whether or not, well, first of all, we formed the commission back in January. So technically that commission dissipated when we had the last vote. So tonight we will have to form a new commission if you want to move forward. The way that it then works is that the individuals addressed will have until April the 14th to respond in writing to me. From there, it then goes before the commission, and they will make their case before the commission, which is no less than 3 and no more than 5 members. Once that commission then hears from the individuals on the list, the commission will then decide whether or not to recommend to the full board expulsion. If the commission then decides that the member has a valid reason and that they should stay, they will then recommend that to the full board. However, if the commission recommends that they do not really, not say that they really do not approve of what the member on this list has been stated, or what has been, I won't say accused, but in other words, what has been illustrated in the letter, then of course the commission then recommends to the full board that the member be expelled. So tonight is not an expulsion vote. All right, tonight is a vote to determine whether or not you want to form a commission to form, to look into, or it's more like an impeachment inquiry, is in essence what it is. It's akin to an impeachment inquiry. Now, although those members are here tonight, some of which are on our board meeting, again, tonight is not an expulsion vote. So their time to defend themselves will be, again, next month, okay, during the commission hearing. The first thing that they have to do is respond. So if you remember, in January, we had 3 members who, quite frankly, did not even respond to the letter by the date and time. And therefore, it was just automatic that they were, we brought it to the floor and you expelled those 3 members. And so the fact that 2 of these members are at least here says something. So I will at least give them credit for that. However, they are still accountable to you, the board. So what I'm going to call for now is I'm going to call for a vote of the board to determine whether or not you want to form the commission to expel these board members that are listed.
Shall I make a motion?
Certainly, Mr. Stricker.
I make a motion that we form a committee to review the attendance of persons that you sent letters to.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second, John Isaac.
Okay, so the motion has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any unreadiness before we call for the vote?
Move the question.
I move the question.
I have a question.
Okay, yes, Mr. Lanzano, I'm sorry. Is that Mr. Lanzano?
Yes.
Yes.
In the past, we had similar situations like this, and there were members who didn't come around for years, as a matter of fact. They were asked, we tried to have them removed, not for anything personal, but so they could be replaced with somebody who wanted to be a little more active. But in any case, it seemed that the councilman decided that he or she wanted that person to remain on the board and we couldn't expel them. So my question is, do we have the power to expel somebody?
The answer is yes, because it's written in the bylaws, right? So the councilman, whether it be our councilman in District 12 or whoever's out of District 11, they are non-voting members. So even though they have the power to appoint, they have to abide by the same bylaws that we do.
Okay.
So, that's where we are with that, Ms. Lane. But thank you for your question.
I move to question.
Okay. Oh, yes, Mr.
So,
Boris.
thank you. My question is it just sounds counterproductive to the discipline committee. Being that you would, I think, you would think that the discipline committee would handle such cases instead of having another committee, as you said, that, is more counterproductive than having multiple committees.
Okay, well, thank you for your concern, Mr. Boris, but again, we're following the bylaws, all right? So we're not doing anything that is contrary to the bylaws. The way that we do this is by the book, and of course, as many of you know, I'm a scientist, and the way that you get experiments done, of course, is following the rules, and so that's what we're going to do here. Okay. Any other unreadiness? Okay, Madam Secretary.
Hussein Abdul,
Aye.
Franklin Alapo, Trip Benitez, aye. Egeria Bennett,
Aye.
Sidney Blair, Denise Bond,
Aye.
Ivan Boaz,
Nay.
Carla Basati, Carla, I see her.
And she's probably muted.
No, she's not muted. Okay, I'll go on. Marlene Brown.
No.
Jerome Brown.
Aye.
Victor Brown. Victor Brown. Victor Brown. Okay. Deacon Brown. Deacon Brown.
Nay.
Norbert Bryan.
Aye.
Sadie Campbell. Gail Clark. Not present. Joan Claude.
Aye.
Beatrice Coronel.
Aye.
Torleen Dickerson. Gotcha. Kevin Eichelberger.
Aye.
Alfredo Figueroa.
Nay.
Barbara Gibson. Did anybody?
Nay.
Johnny Goff. Chantel.
Nay.
Robert Hall.
Nay.
I'm sorry. Robert Hall, can you say it again?
Nay.
Thank you. Lisa Hayes.
Aye.
John Isaac,
Aye.
Theodore James,
Aye.
Keisha Martin,
Aye.
Ifa Alas,
Abstain.
Ifa Last,
Abstain.
Paul
Madam
Lanzano.
Secretary,
Aye.
this is Victor.
Who's I hear a
Madam Secretary, this is Victor Brown. My internet has been unstable, so I'm voting.
What's your vote, Mr. Brown? Mr. Brown? Lucille Martin? Lucille Martin.
I said nay.
Thank you. Shaniqua Moore?
Aye.
Clinton Mike?
Aye.
Thank you. Carmen Ortiz?
Aye.
Thank you. Frank Porter? Claudia Powell? Claudia Powell? Claudia Powell?
Nay.
Anthony Reed? Did anyone hear what he said?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Dr. Dina Robbins?
Aye.
Harry Singh?
Aye.
Carl Stricker?
Aye.
Nicole Ware?
Abstain.
Victor Brown?
Aye.
Thank you. Dr. Michael Burke?
Aye.
Carla Barsati? Carla Barsati? Can anyone get her attention? I see her.
Right here. Yeah, we see her.
That's it. Okay, I'm gonna have to draw. The ayes have it.
Motion passes. So what will now happen are the names that are on this list will now have to respond to the chair and the commission by no later than April 14th to tell us why, that they had to go on the list, more importantly, why they have been absent. If the commission deems that their rationale is worthy, then of course they will recommend that those members stay. If they do not, then those members will be have their membership revoked and thus expelled from the board. So again, thank you, board members. And this is not something that I take lightly, but as I said in my promise to you, I said that I was going to help everybody accountable. In order for us to be an effective board, we have to get rid of board members who, quite frankly, are not doing their fair share. And that's more work for people like Ms. Clyde, that's more work for Azealia, that's more work for Clinton, myself, and so many others that are just really putting in, being on 4 and 5 committees when others aren't even serving on 1. So again, thank you. So before we end, I just want to ask for a couple of items. This is under good and welfare. A couple of board members have really endured some pain recently, so I would like to ask you to continue to uplift Ms. Ortiz. And let me just comment on this, if I may, as I look at Ms. Ortiz and smile. I mean, the worst thing.
Are you saying aye?
I've had to do was to attend her daughter's wake. But yet and still, Ms. Ortiz was able to come to last month's board meeting, and she was able to come to this month's board meeting, and she's grieving. You know what I mean? Now, there is no greater loss than the loss of a child, but yet she's here. And for those of you that voted nay, again, I can't tell you how to vote, board members, but that says something. So with that being said, thank you, Ms. Ortiz. I ask that we continue to pray for Ms. Ortiz. I ask you to pray for Mrs. Clyde as well. And again, and I'm not going to disclose what's going on, but if they want to, they can at some point to you individually. And I also ask you to pray for our community associate, Ursula Green, as she's undergone some difficulties as well. So again, please keep them in your prayers, board members, as well as community at large. We have birthdays this month. So again, to our March birthdays, Denise Bond, Kevin Eichelberger, and Ivan Boris all have birthdays this month. I think Mrs. Bond's birthday was on the 6th, Mr. Eichelberger's birthday was on the 20th, and Mr. Boris's birthday is actually tomorrow. So again, all of you that have birthdays in March or wedding anniversaries, again, happy birthday to each and every one of you. Wishing all of you the best, and although we won't be singing this month, but nonetheless, I just want to wish you, each and every one of you, a happy birthday, and I look forward to celebrating April birthdays as well. So before we close out, you know, it's been a rough month for the board for a number of reasons, you know, whether it's COVID or, you know, whether it's something going on. And again, as I said before, I mentioned you know, what's happening with some of our board members and our staff and other things that may be going on. You know, it's been a rough month. And so what I want to do is, before asking for an adjournment, is that I want to lead everybody, I want to recite a poem. And it's a very uplifting poem. It's by Rudyard Kipling. And the name of this poem is called If. And what I'm hoping is that find unity in this, because I think whether, you know, we have a lot of work that we need to do for this community. And I'm hoping that everybody within the sound of my voice can hear this and be uplifted, and then we'll leave. But this is If. And it goes like this. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, make allowances for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies. Or being hated, don't give way to hating. And yet, don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can deal with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap of fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, stoop and pick them up with worn out tools. If you can make a heap of all of your winnings and risk it on one turn, a pitch and toss, and lose, start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart, your nerve, and your sinew to serve their turn long after they're gone. And so hold on when there's nothing in you except the will to possess of them. Hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose a common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count on you, but none too much, If you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more. You'll be a man, my son. So I just want to leave you with that because, again, as I said, that's such an inspirational poem. And I just want, I see Miss Moore. Miss Shaniqua Moore says that her birthday was yesterday, so which would have been the 24th. So Miss Shaniqua Moore, there you go. I see you smiling. So happy birthday to you as well. I will put that in. So again, thank you so much, board members. And so I need a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
All right. Is there a second?
Second. John Isaac.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Let me see your hands.
Aye.
All right. Motion passes. Anthony Reed, my brother, can you lead us out in prayer?
Yes, I can. Father God, thank you for this day that the Lord has made, oh God. We thank you just for this meeting. We thank you for the blessing and the knowledge. And we ask that you keep us as one, as we stay together in the community, as we strengthen each other in the community, oh God. We ask you to just cover us, protect us, give us an eye to see and an ear to hear, thus saith the Lord, and also walk with us, keep us, and strengthen us. In Jesus' name, in Jesus' blood, amen, amen, amen.
Amen, amen, amen. Thank you so much, Mr. Reed. Board members, again, thank you for such a meeting. It is 9:32, and yes, I know I took at least 3 minutes with the poem, but it's okay. It's not 10 o'clock,
Okay.
and we're gone. So
Just
listen,
one
board members,
second.
thank you very,
One
very
second
much. I
before you-
appreciate you.
Before
Love
you,
each and every one of you, and I will see you next month. All right, take care.
all
Goodbye,
right.
everybody.
Before you turn off, Mr. Chairman, just indulge me for 1 second. I want to invite everybody to join me tomorrow.